Welcome to the Dollars and Cents podcast with Wes the Economist and Jonathan the Conspiracy Theorist. We're reporting to you live from the Wave Beach Realty Studios in North Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Give us a call today at 843-957-3872. All right, guys, welcome back into the Dollars and Cents podcast with Wes the Economist. I am Jonathan the Conspiracy Theorist, and we are back with our 42nd installment of the Quick Clip series. And
haven't been too quick on the last two, though, have we?
Yeah, they were turned into long clips real quick, we had been good for a while and be on a really good pace, 8 to 10 minutes, but I think the Iran stuff in Israel and tying it into the biblical stuff really you just go. There's just so much there that it's just it just kept on going. So
we'll do one more next week.
Yeah, we'll have to do a few
what else
more
is going on.
Yeah,
but today we're going to talk about ice.
Yes,
and not in your drinks.
Not in your drinks. We're talking about all breaking down doors and.
Hey, okay, let me ask you this: your generation, should we just? Does your generation just believe we should enforce some laws and not all laws? I don't get it.
It seems that way. I don't feel that way. I think illegal is illegal. It doesn't matter if you're a legal immigrant, if you're breaking into a store illegally. If it's illegal, it's illegal, and there's really no further explanation that should be needed. And
so these people say, well, they're deporting people who haven't broken any laws.
Yeah, that will being illegal is literally the definition.
But it's not criminal. They go through all these tangents, but they broke the law. I don't care how you define it. I don't get it.
And I have like a mixed view of it because I know people that are here illegally and they're hardworking people, and I'd hate to see them leave. And I know that they love the country and they work hard and take care of their family. And I think that the process to become an immigrant needs to be made easier. I think it needs to be probably a little more streamlined. And I'm sure there's a way to do that, and I don't know that we've put enough focus on that. But at the same time, you have to expect that if you're going to break a country's laws, that they're going to fine you and remove you from the country. And I don't think. And what's crazy is most of the people complaining about the deportations are just white liberals.
Yeah.
So it's
who are losing their gardeners and their housekeepers and their nannies.
Right.
Did you hear that? See that one in Hollywood complaining about how people going to have to clean their own toilet and it's like, no, you're saying you're going to have to. Right. 'Cause I do it myself.
Right, exactly. And it's just crazy. And I'm pretty sure I did see like something a little while back. I'm pretty sure this last election, Trump had 47% of the Hispanic vote. More than any Republican has had, I believe. I think it was 40. More. I'm pretty sure I watched it was on a podcast they were talking about. I'm pretty sure. No, it was CNN actually having to admit he was like 38%, and then when he lost the election, he was at like 40, or it was like 32, 38, and then it jumped to 40. It was a big jump this last election, and it's almost like a lot of immigrants who are here legally are actually like, hey, these illegal immigrants are giving us a bad name. We need to get them out of here.
The people in my classes, when we get on immigration, the ones that are most vocal and the most revved up are legal aliens.
Yeah. I had true story. I had an illegal alien talk to me about this topic and specifically said that all these illegals that are coming in and committing crimes are the reason, are causing all this issue, and they have to go, and it's bad, and he completely understands why it's happening. Well, obviously, he's here illegally. He knows he's committed a crime.
Yeah.
But he's not the one committing the crimes once he gets here, the other crimes.
Right,
he was openly admitting that, like, I understand what Trump's doing and why this has to stop.
Yeah.
Is basically what he was saying. Like, obviously, he doesn't want to get thrown out of here. But if they did get him, he's just going to have to figure it out and get back in the right way.
Yeah.
But it's a tough.
A couple days ago, Trump told him to stop cracking down so hard on farms and
hotels. Because the hotel people that are in his pocket in New York and all these big hotels, like, hey, we're losing all our housekeepers. You got to stop this. And so he thought about it, and then he said, no, I can't. Thank God he didn't go along with that, because that would have been the biggest.
Oh, I thought he did.
It reversed. They reversed it.
Oh, he reversed it.
They reversed it. Yeah, they didn't approve, because that would have been like a, hey, man, you can't. Now people are paying you to do things to help them out. Like, you can't have it both ways. So initially he was going to pass that and put a halt, and was putting a halt, and then they got rid of it.
Okay, good.
So luckily he kind of probably sat down after it and was like, I can't do this. This is not a good look.
Well, I mean, what I read was it wasn't putting it in law. It was just they were not going to enforce it as hard right now in those two industries. In other words, they're going to concentrate their stuff on the illegals that are committing crimes, which they're doing already,
right?
And not going in and pull it. Because that one meat packing processing plant, Indiana somewhere, did you read that story?
Mm-mm.
They had a big raid there and took about all the employees out.
Oh, jeez.
And the next day, the raiding room was full of people putting applications in to actually work there. And the whole headlines was like, I thought all people didn't want these jobs.
Right, right, yeah. And if you pay, if the pay's right, people will show up. There's always people that want to work. There's plenty of people that don't, but there's plenty of people that want to work. And I mean,
as the wages go up, the more people come out.
Yeah, yeah. So I can see both sides of the argument. But you can't just let people come in illegally and open the floodgates because you just don't know what's coming in with it.
I think that's the problem. If Biden had not opened the floodgates, we probably would not be this aggressive, and he still would be trying to get illegals out.
Right.
But, I mean, the pendulum swung.
Right.
We just literally opened our borders and said, come on in.
Yeah.
We're reaping the benefits now with all the gang activity and all the drugs and everything else.
And you've let, and I'm sure the southern border was, when it was wide open like that, you probably had your ISIS members and your sleeper cells, and I mean, I've seen CIA targeters tell me that they're here in interviews. So yeah, I mean that is so we're not just, when me and you have this conversation, I think some people just are like talking about Hispanic immigration, illegal immigration. That's not what that's not even. I know there's a lot of Hispanics in this country here illegally. They're not committing as much of the crime. It's still a crime to come here illegally, but it's not. That's not what I'm concerned about. The concern is not, okay, too many Hispanics have gotten into the country and are taking jobs. That is a problem. The worst problem is when you let them in like that. It makes a feeding frenzy, and then other people take advantage of that loophole. And those are the people that shouldn't be here and that are actually plotting terrorist attacks on America.
Exactly.
And now you're putting American lives at risk, and that's if you're going to protect America first, that's step one. Yeah. When life gets unpredictable, turn to a partner you can trust. At Bobby Clary State Farm, we've got you covered. Whether it's home, auto, or life insurance, we're dedicated to providing personalized coverage that fits your needs. With our friendly and knowledgeable team, navigating your insurance options have never been easier. Visit BobbyClary.com or call 843-438-6000. Bobby Clary State Farm, here to help life go right.
Eisenhower Dental, located at 107 Waccamaw Medical Park Drive in Conway, a place where you can find all your dental services, including general dentistry, cosmetic, restorative, and pediatric dentistry. Reach out to them today at their website, eisenhowerdental.com, or call them at 843-234-3110, 843-234-3110, and tell them Wes the Economist sent you. Exactly.
And I don't. That's like rule number one of the handbook: protect your borders. I think is probably part of any nation's like, hey, 101. What do we do first?
Yeah,
don't let people in.
No border, no country.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. No border. You literally don't have a country. No. We're just we're just part of a continent.
Which is what globalists want.
Right.
Which would lead us into the leadership of the Antichrist.
I was going to say, if we're all one. Back to what was the when they said all the theory that all the continents used to be connected. What's it? Pangea?
Yeah, Pangea.
Yeah. So they're wanting a giant Pangea.
That's inside the ice wall.
Right. Yeah. Before you fall off the side of the flat Earth.
Well, now they say there's islands and land masses outside of the wall.
Yeah. Do you believe?
It's almost like Game of Thrones type thing.
Oh yeah, makes sense.
Except the wall's not north.
The flat
it's all
Earthers,
around.
I just will never. I can't wrap my head around it. I just can't.
I see these posts all the time. Says, "Well, explain this, globalist, or globals, or whatever they call us." And I'm like, I don't need to explain that. You're just too stupid to understand. I'm not going to try to explain it to you.
Yeah, somebody would have fallen off the side of the earth by now.
Oh no, we're not allowed there. The cabal has making sure that nobody gets.
There's just no way. In the history of mankind, nobody's gotten that far. Like it's just been protected forever. There's just no way.
Exactly.
There's no way. There's just no way. Do you think that the Earth used to be? I don't know if this relates to the Bible at all. Do you think it used to all be connected?
I don't think so.
You don't think like the flood maybe bumped it up?
No, because I don't think the world's 10,000 years old.
You said you do think the world's only 10,000
years old.
I know that. There are some dinosaur archaeologists that would strongly
dinosaurs.
Disagree. Well, you have to. Well, yeah, you kind of have to, unless somebody planted
I just don't
all
think
those
they're
bones.
millions of years old.
What do you think killed all them? Flood?
Uh-huh.
Why didn't we put two of those on the ark?
I don't know.
They would have just eaten everything.
But in Job, I think it's Job, there is a beast.
We put the alligators on. We let the alligators live. They're prehistoric.
Oh, did we really put them on there?
They probably need to. They swim. Need to. They swim.
We didn't put the fish in there. I mean,
yeah, you would think the birds would have made it though. The flying bird would have made it. They would have just flew. I guess after a while you got to stop flying.
I don't know if they were still around the flood. In Job, we do see this beast that's talked about that a lot of people interpret as a dinosaur. Mm. I've also seen, this was decades ago, I saw where they carbon dated a blanket from the 1940s as being 2 million years old. So people say, well, how can you explain that? Well, I can't. You asked what my faith was.
Yeah.
Could I be wrong? Yes. Because there is other theories about the Bible. There's a gap theory between verse 1 and verse 2 that there's millions and millions of years that happen between verse 1 and verse 2. So, I mean, there's other people trying to explain it away. I've just gotten to the point in my age, I just don't feel like I have to explain anything away.
Yeah.
I believe what I believe. I support a church right now the pastor, I love him to death, but I think he's off on some theology. And people are like, well, why you support him? Because I love him and his family.
Yeah.
There's nobody out there I agree 100% with theology on.
Yeah. No, I get it. Yeah, it's there's just so many questions, that I guess you don't really get answers. But like some of all this stuff was written so long ago. It's it's hard. Sometimes it's just hard to see the answers because of like you said, or in the other episode when it was written. It's hard to kind of picture what they meant. Sometimes.
That took us all the way from our topic of immigration.
Yeah,
I think Bible's on your mind this week.
Well, it's a lot of this ties in, and then I'm inquisitive about stuff like that. That's anyway. Good, yeah. So,
but you come back to. I wanted to ask you one thing before we get off the air here. Yep. What do you think about ICE people having masks on? This is what I'm struggling with.
Yeah, I mean, I don't.
I understand why they're doing it, but
I feel like if I'm going around deporting people and people are going to and they see my face and can figure out who I am and come attack my family, I can see that as a reason. But at the same time, it also takes away accountability. It's like if they do something wrong, it's like, all right, your face was covered, you beat the crap out of this guy for no reason or whatever, you shot him. He didn't do anything. Who was it that shot him? They can just, protect him. So I think you should have to disclose your identity. If you're going to take up that job and the risks, you should probably have to show your identity. I don't know.
That's the one thing out of all this I've struggled with because I don't like the idea of mask. But reminds me of stormtroopers. This faceless person enforcing laws. Yeah. But it also shows us where we're at, where people in this country. Because I don't think what I read, it wasn't the immigrants. It was activists taking the picture and then tracking them down and doxing them. Yeah. I mean, that's we've just gotten to the point where life means nothing to these people.
Right. Yeah. So it's, I'm not a fan of the mask. I understand that it's but you sign up for that job. You're going to get backlash. Hard. It's a threat. You just got to have to be careful.
But we didn't even have time to get to the riots in California with the ICE trying to just do their job. They're just trying to do their job. And
California's another planet.
Newsom and Bass, I'm sorry, they're idiots.
Yeah.
And now they want the federal government to pay for the destruction because they said Trump is the one that caused. Trump didn't cause anything. He's enforcing the law.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, he's not going to enforce it here. Well, then become your own country. And everybody's like, well, we can't live without California. Yeah, we can.
They just don't. They just don't care about like the riot and they just overlook the problem and just like, oh, we'll just blame it on Trump. It's just. If you want to protest, that's fine. But when you're stopping ICE from doing their job and you're firebombing cars and
then you see who was funding them,
looting stores, and
did you see who was funding them?
The rioters?
Yeah,
no.
George Soros couple of big groups. They traced back, got their public information. One of them had received $35 million in grants from California and the U.S. government. Most of it from the California government. Yeah, so California is funding the riots, who's tearing down the city that I now have to pay to fix, now trying to get citizens to pay for that.
What a mess.
It definitely is.
Well, I guess we could probably wrap this up there.
This is a good end of Quick Clips here.
Yeah, we'll get back with you.
I foresee a week of coming of biblical talk with all this Iran and Israel stuff coming, so maybe next time we'll hit another biblical topic for you.
Yeah, that's looking likely.
All right, guys, y'all have a good one.
Have a good one, guys.
Mortgage payment, insurance payments, credit card payments, they can be very overwhelming. Are you ready to take the time to get things under control? Then reach out to me at Clark Financial Coaching to see if we can get you started with a budget and then a vision for the future. Write me at coachwesc@gmail.com. That's coachwesc@gmail.com.
Are you looking to buy a home in North or South Carolina? You need to reach out to Wave Beach Realty today. We are a family-owned company with over 10 years of experience in North and South Carolina and operate along the Grand Strand. Give us a call today at 843-957-3872. That's 843-957-3872. Thanks for listening to the Dollars and Cents Podcast with Jonathan the Conspiracy Theorist and Wes the Economist. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and X at DollarsCentsGS and on Facebook at Dollars and Cents.